Hi, folks. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inner Circle coaching session for personal branding. Hope everybody is doing well. Uh, I'm here in New Jersey. The weather is a little bad. We have a lot of snow this morning and it has slowed down, but strong winds are running. But good news is that all the utilities are working, so we are still able to do this call without any interruptions. So, many new members joined this month as well. So I want to give a few things for the clarification of the new members. So we have these every month, 3 sessions. Let me just change the slide so I could talk more specifically. So I hope you are able to see on your screen the famous popular CFO leadership competency framework, which we have been following. So this framework I'm using for more than 2 years now. We enhanced a little bit with this program. And this program, the Inner Circle Coaching Program, is basically focused on this framework. So what we do, every month we pick one competency and then we go through in detail about the practical tactics and strategies and techniques and tools and tips and all things you could apply in your life. So most of the things are really practical. Every month, not necessary that we pick one competency. For example, personal branding is such an important topic that I have expanded it into 2 month sessions. So this month we are talking of personal branding. Next month we'll talk about LinkedIn, which is very much related to your personal branding and also networking and relationship. So sometimes we expand some topics into 2 months and sometimes we combine them. For example, we combine work-life integration and peak performance into one. But approximately in 12 months time period, we should be able to cover all competencies. So that's the approximate time you have to really spend on this program to understand the whole framework. And it's not sequential. As I said, that we pick based on the relevancy. We pick one competency and we delve into it. And you could learn and apply from the next day. That's the beauty of this program, that there is no concepts or philosophies or things we are talking about in detail. We talked about practical things you could just jump start and apply and apply doing from the very next day of the learning. So that's one thing. The So people are joining from the all corners of the world now, right? Really. So main concentration is of course from the countries Middle East and Pakistan, India, but people have lately joined from Malaysia, China, Australia, which is pretty stretch, and then Europe and Africa and Canada and USA. So time zone is really becoming a little challenge. We try to do it at a central time, which fits or suits most of the people's schedule, but it still could be a challenge. For example, in people in Australia, I know it's quite late over there. So what we'll do from the next month, I'm switching the schedule of this inner circle coaching sessions from Tuesday to Saturday. So Saturday is a weekend almost for all the countries around the world, I guess. So with that flexibility, at least you are not stretched. I mean, some people work late night listening to these sessions. The next day they have to catch up on the work. So at least you don't have that pressure. It could still be different timings. We usually do 9 p.m. UAE time, but then it's doable because even next day is a weekend or off day for most of the people. So I hope that that would be much more workable. Why this is important? Although we also provide recordings for all sessions. So within 24 hours of the session, you will get the full recording, which means if for any reason you are not able to attend the session, you get the same flavor, the same everything in full completeness. But few people think that they could live with the recordings only, so they don't have to rush around. Let me tell you, I'm doing this now for more than 2 years, and some of my coaching students are in the business of collecting my recordings. They collect my recordings and they feel satisfied that okay, now I grabbed it, so one fine day I will find time to go through those recordings and change my life. Well, that's not going to happen. Let me tell you upfront. So most of the people who attend live, they learn very quickly and they apply it. And because there is no pressure, once you have missed the live session and you have recording, it's up to you. It's your discretion whenever you want to listen to it, right? And most of the time, 80% it's delayed 80% of the time. So my suggestion or my advice is that if you really want to take benefit of this program, make it a habit to attend live. I'm doing best from my side to make it as flexible as possible, so every one of you could attend the program live to get the most out of it. And so first session, this is the first session for the month of March. So in the first call, which goes 90 minutes, we only talk about the contents of the program, the coaching, and the related things about personal branding. And you could table your questions through the chat box or question box. But the main better way is to really wait until the session is end and work through these concepts and ideas and tools and techniques. Next week, the second coaching call of the month is mainly for the Q&A session, question and answer session. So for again 1 hour to 90 minutes, we go through your questions. The best way is to, when you go through the contents and trying to apply in your practical life, you come across certain question, then send those questions to Sabha through email or post it on the CFO Coaching Club group website, or ask next time. But that is the time, more appropriate time, where we could handle those questions in a more practical and appropriate fashion. And then third call of the month, which happens the subsequent week, usually we try to bring one expert from the outside on the subject matter, and we try to learn from their expertise as well. So that's the format and structure of this program. Okay, so let's start with personal branding. So why branding at all? And I think all of you are familiar with the concept of branding when it relates to the product and services or businesses. And businesses have been doing it very successfully, very effectively for a long period of time. Actually, the concept of branding or even more strategic marketing started somewhere middle of the last century. So until early 20th century, if there is a manufacturer, they could produce something, usually they're able to sell. It's a seller's market at that time because there were not many sellers or manufacturers. So whatever they produced were sold at that time. And the famous quote you might have heard from Henry Ford, who was the pioneer of the automotives manufacturing and selling at that time. In 1947, someone suggested him that why not offer multiple colors choices to customers. And he said, yeah, the customers can buy any color as long as it is black. So that was the mindset. There was no focus and interest to really satisfy customer. So it all started changing from 60s and 70s when Japanese started to invade the US North American market with their automotives and electronics. There was more competition. There were more sellers than the buyers. And businesses started to do a lot of strategy and marketing and branding. So that is how the concept of branding started. Today, the concept of branding is highly, highly matured and sophisticated in business world. So look at your screen. What do you see? It's a highly branded, very precious product, Rolex watch, right? And the piece you are looking at your screen that costs, I think, not less than $40,000. $40,000 for a wristwatch. Why would you pay that? I mean, to watch the time, definitely not, because a $10 watch probably could give more accurate time. It's all about branding. Is the pride of ownership, is the perceived value. The buyers of Rolex watch for that level of money, they have that value in their mind. They think they are making a good deal. And that is what this brand has achieved over a long period of time. So people are willing to pay that level of money for a wristwatch. Branding, right? Another example, what do you see? Rolls Royce. Again, people pay fortune to get that luxury car. Now, amazingly, as I said, it's more like a perceived value because there could not be intrinsic value equivalent to $40,000 in a wristwatch. No matter if it is of pure gold, it cannot be $40,000. So it's a perceived value. which these sellers and marketers create in the mind of the consumers, Rolls-Royce falls in the same category. Now, Rolls-Royce, think of this. Rolls-Royce is owned by BMW, and they use many parts. Even the chassis of the Rolls-Royce is used from the BMW 7 Series. But Rolls-Royce sells 10 times more than a BMW 7. Think of this, people still pay the price happily. It's all power of branding. So that is the power of branding. When we look at the business world, how the businesses are taking advantage, and there is no shortage of cars. I mean, even the luxury category, there are very many cars, and there is height of competition. But Rolls-Royce really have a very distinct standing. So we can say that these are really very niche, small markets, top luxury market where these brands are very successful. What about this brand lately? Apple. Apple has done a phenomenal job in the last 10 years, I would say, from the branding point of view. And this is a high-end product, but not a luxury product, because common people, it's appeal to mass market. That's the beauty of it. It's appeal to mass market, and the brand has developed so well that today, if there is a new version of Apple is released, people line up night before outside the stores to get it. That's the power of brand. Now I know, and you know, that today in category of computers, laptops, smartphones, probably there are other products who are equally or technologically have the same functionality, if not better than Apple. But still, Apple has an appeal. It is said that Apple has fans, not customers. Other companies have customers. Apple has fans, and that's the power of branding. Let me tell you a quick personal story. My younger daughter, a few years ago, started college, and she wanted to have only Apple laptop. She was really very shy and not comfortable to take any other brand to college in front of her friends. I knew that she has no idea what Macintosh could do in terms of the functionality, but it was the power of brand. It's the pride of ownership of the Apple products people have. So that is how they have really succeeded and sweep the market. Now it's highly competitive market in all categories. They are offering their products, but Apple is still taking a lot more advantage than anyone else. I read recently that there are close to 1,000 manufacturers or suppliers of mobile phones, and Apple takes 90% of the profitability of top 8. Amazing, right? That's the power of brand Apple is enjoying right now. So with this understanding of the branding for product and services, and one more example, by the way. So what you see here, this is also a very interesting product. Starbucks coffee. This is also mass market, consumer mass market, low price, but it's still significant branding. You could see they could fetch 3 times the price of a normal coffee. As a matter of fact, I don't like Starbucks as my personal preference. I like more of McDonald's coffee. McDonald's coffee is very cheap, by the way. It's just $1, and Starbucks is more than $3. So usually it's a good deal for me. It's a good value. I pay $1 and enjoy my coffee. But if I am along with my executive friends, I'm a little embarrassed to go to McDonald's and buy coffee. At that time, I would prefer to go to a Starbucks store along with my executive friend. Again, the power of brand. I feel pride buying Starbucks in a corporate environment, but personally, I like McDonald's. 3 times difference in the price. So again, they are enjoying all the benefits of branding. So let's take that concept of branding from product and services, and let's talk about talent market, you and us. So we are not product and services, but what has happened lately, that like businesses were always highly competitive. Now talent market has become highly competitive. And the reason is that, first of all, there is oversupply of talent. People are educating more, graduating more, getting more degrees, certifications, and so there is definitely and more orientation and understanding to get the high level education. So there is oversupply, but at the same time, to add fuel on the fire, businesses have become smarter. Businesses have learned how to do more with less, right? So businesses are growing, but they're not growing at the same rate as the talent is growing. So the market has become highly competitive. What to do? Well, the solution is obvious. What businesses have been doing for more than 100 years is the solution, that you need to really make yourself differentiated from the crowd. You need to make yourself distinct from the crowd. Because if you could prove to the prospective buyers of your talent that you differentiate in some manner from others, they would look at you and they would give more attention in terms of buying that talent. So that's what we are talking about. Now, what you see here, there are two categories actually. The talent market is splitting. I had a webinar done few months ago on this career breakthrough strategy, where I dealt in this topic in detail. But the market of the talent is really segmenting, splitting very quickly into two segments. And I call them laggards and leaders. Laggards are really the crowd, main crowd, the 90-95% people uh, who do not do much proactively. They are just waiting for the economy to get better. They are waiting for the company to get better. They are waiting their boss to change for their career to progress. They would not do much on their own. They are victims of the situation outside them. On the other hand, there are people you could categorize leaders. And by the way, all of people on this call, you are leaders because you made a decision to proactively manage your career. That is why you are here. You decided to learn something here which could help your career and make you a better leader. So you're already in that leader category. But believe me, majority of the people, no matter what, they wouldn't do anything. And that's the good news. The good news is, because if majority is not doing much, that becomes an opportunity for you. So if nobody is running faster, it's easier to win the race by running a little better, little faster, right? That's what you are doing exactly. So you are on the right path. Now, as I said, that leaders are very few, 3 to 5%. Let's say they are 5%. And laggards, or the majority of the people, are 95%. Now, you may be close to 5%, or you may be not that close, but at least you are moving in the right direction. I could tell you that at least you are in the upper half, definitely. So if you become a leader, and branding is one of the attribute or the tool or the technique we use to really put yourself more into that category we are going to talk about. So what is branding? This is the best definition I ever came across from Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon. Your brand is what people talk about you when you're not in the room, truly. So think of this, that when you are really not in the room, what people talk about you, what is your brand? Maybe you have not thought about it before, but let's think about it. What is your brand? If you come into the discussion in your absence, how people talk about you? Talk positive, negative? They talk about some of the strengths, weaknesses, behaviors, habits. So that's what we are going to talk today. Just for clarification, what personal branding is not. So personal branding is not about popularity, being famous, or self-promotion. It's not personal branding. It's not really having a fancy business cards or a specific stationery or certain style of clothing to make your brand. It's also not about personal bragging, or it's also not about number of fans and followers on the social media, as some people are in that race. And of course, it's not about your appearance. These are very superficial things. They do not count to be part of the personal branding. So why to do personal branding? So we talked about this talent market getting overcrowded, oversupplied, and this is one way to really make yourself distinct and look apart from the crowd. So in an increasingly and competitive environment, you have to differentiate. If you don't differentiate, you're part of the crowd. So that's one way. The other thing is that from a career point of view, experts are saying that It's a norm for an average professional to make changes 10 to 12 times during their career lifetime. Now, my father worked 40 years in the same company. That was history. I know it's not going to happen. I already changed several jobs, but even it's going to be more than that. So if that is the case, are you ready for your next role? You may be happily employed. You may not be thinking of making a change, but somehow, by a statistical probability, something may happen. It could be merger or acquisition, maybe your company is acquired by another one, maybe technology change, maybe something else happen. But there is a probability, at least a statistical probability, that we'll have 10 to 12 roles in our career lifetime. So are we ready for that? Branding is one way to really get prepared. When you work on your personal brand, it also gives you clarity about your worth and your value. And you can talk in confidence after that. It's also your reputation management. If you don't really define your brand, other people will define you. So before other people do that, you should do it yourself. And self-marketing is really educating your audience or the market about your value. And it reminds me a famous quote from Peter Drucker I have shared several times. At one point of time, Peter Drucker said that every business has only two functions. One is the innovation, second is the marketing, innovation and marketing. And I thought of it and I said, okay, in today's talent market, every professional has the same two functions, innovation and marketing. So innovation is for us to keep developing, keep learning. That's our innovation part. And of course, it's very, very critical. But at the same time, there is the other part of marketing we don't do. Generally speaking, we don't do. Generally speaking, professionals don't believe that they have to do any personal marketing. In fact, many people are shy and even think that it's bad. Well, think of this. If there is no marketing for Apple products, who will buy it? If there is no marketing for Rolex watches, who will buy it? Good products and good services will die if there is no marketing. So your talent is worth sharing with the world. Think of this way. That is, it's not personal bragging, but you have to tell the world what you bring to the table. What is your value proposition? What you could do for them. That is personal or self-marketing, which is a very critical part in today's world. So few mindsets, very important, because we talked about inner game and outer game. So in order to make your outer game successful, you need to first work on your inner game. So personal branding is inevitable activity. Accept that. It's inevitable for a professional. Yeah, you are an employee, you are employed, but think like an entrepreneur. As I said that the average work tenures are reducing, shrinking. So you need to think like an entrepreneur for your next project. Personal branding is based on authentic. So the main difference between a product and service branding and the talent branding is that in the case of the product and branding, there is some exaggeration. There is some hype in terms of creating a perceived value for the customer. As I said, that under no circumstances there could be an intrinsic value of $40,000 for a Rolex watch, but somehow they have created a perceived value equivalent to or more than that value, and people happily buy it. In talent branding, you cannot fake the world, really. Now, there is a little bit element I would say that you could do, but not much. So you need to really think, in order to enhance your branding, what you need to enhance in yourself. What is authentic you? And we'll talk more about it in a second. Now, some people, when it comes to the personal marketing, they are uncomfortable to share their personal information. Look, I don't want to put everything on my LinkedIn profile. I want to put my pictures on Facebook. I want to tell everybody what my background experience is. Look, in today's online information environment, there is no privacy. Absolutely, there is no privacy. Every click you make on somewhere on some device is being captured by so many organizations like Google, Apple, Microsoft, and they are developing your profile. Facebook, you would not believe how much information Facebook has already developed on your profile, what you buy, what you eat, your preferences, things like that, your personal life. So there is really no privacy. So we need, first of all, we need to accept, it's a mindset. We need to accept it that, yeah, there is no privacy. Nobody's asking you to share your intimate private details, but at least your talent, your professional life should be visible to the people so they could really approach you when they need your talent. So that's a very important mindset you need to really accept. And finally, branding is not quick. You have to start from somewhere. It will take time. It may take months, it may take years. But whenever you start, you would have started to see some results quickly and immediately, and it will take its time to reach to the your goals and targets, what you've set for your personal branding. Okay, so why do we do personal branding? Your situation could be a little different than others. So you may have, for example, you are happily employed with an employer. It's a very solid job. There are long-term prospects, companies doing very well. You don't see any chances or any possibility or probability of changing job. Good. Do you need personal branding? Absolutely. You need personal branding to develop your career internally. So if you want to stay with the same company and company is doing pretty well, there are good long-term prospects, you need to do your branding internally to get the promotions, to get the positions and the roles and the responsibilities you deserve. You need to do internal marketing. So it's there. Maybe you're looking for external opportunity. It's more needed there to really share your brand with the world and prospective employers and recruiters. Maybe you want to change your career. Then again, you need to reposition your brand to change the career. It would not happen itself. Now, it's difficult. It's a little challenging if you've already invested a lot of time in certain industry or in profession, but it's possible. There are very successful examples. People have repositioned, rebranded themselves, and got the job in different industries and different professions. Maybe you would want to start your own business. It's a different career. I moved from my CFO role a couple of years ago to entirely something new, a new profession for me as executive and leadership coach. It's completely different branding. I need to do a lot of work on that. But things are working well now. Or maybe you just want to establish your expertise. You want to be seen as an expert in certain areas, in a certain subject matter. You need personal branding for that part. So the process of personal branding, I'm not sure if you have done any work on personal branding or not, but if you have not done it, think of it as a process. And there are 4 main critical steps. First of all, what is your brand? So you may say that I didn't do any work, so there is no brand. Well, believe me, there is a brand. You may not have defined it, but someone has already defined for you. There is an existing brand, good or bad. So that's one thing, to find out what is your brand. Then once you find out, you may not like it, or you may like it. You want to make it better. So you need to create or recraft your brand or innovate your brand, what you want your brand for the world to know. And then third step is once you are clear what is my brand, then you need to communicate it to the world. Because if you discover your brand and know it yourself, keep it up to you, it's not working. So you need to connect the brand to the opportunities. You need to communicate to the outside world so they could notice you. And finally, keep working on it, because it's a continuous work. It's not one time. So these are the 4 critical steps you need to think of, and I'll give you some tips how to jump start on this process. Now, by the way, as I said earlier, that if you come up with any questions, you can drop in the chat box or question box. And Sabha is sitting with me, helping me. She will compile the question. If we could find time end of the session, I'll do that now. Or if we don't, then definitely we'll address in the next session. But don't hold your questions. Okay, so first step, discovering your personal brand. Now, the easier way is to do a Google search for yourself. Just put your name and see what comes up. Now, if your name is very common like Michael or Jeff Smith, probably you have to add a few more words like name of your company, or name of your city, something which make it specific, and see what comes up for your individual profile. My name is pretty unique. There are not many Salim Sufis in this world. So when I put Salim Sufi, a lot of stuff related to me comes up. But that tells you anybody who's searching you, that is what they get. And believe me, if you are going for an interview, keep assured that the interviewer would have searched you in Google or LinkedIn before the interview. If there is a business deal, you're going to meet someone, they would search you before that meeting on Google or LinkedIn. So you need to ensure that when people search you, what comes up, that's your existing brand or one part of the brand. Then carry out a SWOT analysis. I hope that all of you are familiar. This is a very simple exercise. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, normally we do it for businesses, but do it for yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And what are the opportunities may come in your way? And what are the threats which may harm you and damage you? Make that analysis. That would tell you where you are and what are the areas and the things you have to really capitalize upon to develop and build your brand. Most of us or all of us are employed. If you're employed with any company, I think there are performance appraisals in all companies or most of the companies. So you must have gone through it. What is the feedback from those performance appraisals? Are there any consistent patterns? Now, you could argue that my boss is not happy with me, or he's not the right person, or I'm in the wrong company. But look, if there are certain consistent patterns over the years, there is some truth in it. So you need to really be realistically look into it and see what is coming up and work on those areas where you need to. And your CV and LinkedIn profiles are basically your marketing documents. It's not your take it as your marketing document. So think from a marketing point of view, that when you communicate these things to other people, LinkedIn profile and CV, what message do they get? So take your CV and try to get some feedback from some recruiters or some prospective employers or from some friends or from other executives who are more knowledgeable, and see what comes up, because it might be portraying a wrong brand for you. And also ask your trusted friends or your spouse or the people who know you closely, ask them in a trustworthy manner, what are the areas you need to improve, or what are your strengths which you need to highlight. That would help you a lot. So that's a few simple steps you could do at the first step in your personal branding process, discovering your personal brand. So what may happen after you go through this brief exercise, simple exercise, you will find that the way you see yourself is completely different than other people see you. It might happen. And that's not a good start. That's not a good place. That tells that you have a serious lack of self-awareness, and you also lack social awareness. And we'll talk more about the self-awareness and social awareness in the emotional intelligence topic when we address this in next month or couple of months. But these two distinct views which do not really correspond with each other is not a good start. But it's rare cases that you have completely different opinion, or people have entirely different opinion than what you think about yourself. Most common situation is this one, what you see on the screen, especially for most professionals, that there is part of it which you think about yourself with other people don't think, but there is an overlapping part, almost 50%, which you think and other people think are the same views or opinions. And then there are some opinion from other you don't share. That's the most common one. And this is related to most of the professional, or I would say the laggards. And they don't care about it. As I said, this is the most typical situation. Maybe this is also true for you. So what to do? It's a better start than the first picture I showed you, but definitely not an ideal one. It's not going to help you, because there is significant portion which does not correspond with your view, with the world view. Ideally speaking, and this is from the top leaders, ideally speaking, there should be a large overlap. What do you think of yourself? Same as what the world thinks of you. This is true for authentic leaders. This is true for top corporate leaders or Fortune 500 company CEOs, they reach to that level. And there is always some portion, as you say, a little part which may still not correspond, but 95% it overlaps with each other. And this is the authentic part. It's not that you are creating something. This is about real you, and the world knows about real you. And we'll talk the things which will help you to reach to that level. Now, this is not easy. This would not happen overnight. It will take a long time, but that should be your goal. Not necessarily, I'm not saying that what the world thinks is the right start or what you think are the right start. Both may be wrong. Maybe you don't know your potential. Maybe you don't know your strength. Maybe world doesn't know about your strength and talent. That's the process we are talking about, discovering your brand and recrafting it, and then work on it to make overlap like this. So how do you reinvent your brand? And as I said, that we are talking of the authentic branding, not creating a fake perceived value. It starts with a work-life integration. So start thinking broadly. What is the purpose of your life? So first of all, think from a work-life integration point of view. I'm a strong proponent of saying that there is no work-life balance. You need to create a work-life integration. That is the only way practically possible for today's professional to succeed in their work and personal life. So create a mindset of work-life integration and think, what is the purpose of my life? From a professional point of view, from a personal point of view, what are the values you care for, you care about? Is definitely the family, or the money, or the hard work, or the integrity, or success? What are your values? Think of those things. And then do the SWOT analysis and find out what are your top natural talents. And what is your passion? Maybe you already know, maybe you don't know. There are things which may really give you substantial energy and drive. Those are your passions. And what are the opportunities in your way? So we call this a visioning exercise. In another session, I help you go through a visioning exercise to really do this. And that is how you start with your self-assessment or self-evaluation, which is an essential ingredient or input for the personal branding exercise. And what is your goal and your vision? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? If you're young, maybe in 20 years. Where do you see when you're finishing your career? Now, ending your career doesn't mean ending your life, because in today's environment, with the quality of life, is very much probable to live up to 80, 85. Now, in corporate environment, you could stretch to 60, 65. Based on the supply demand, I don't expect that you could really stretch beyond that level. But then, even you finish with your corporate career, you have another 25 years, quarter of a century to spend. What is your vision? What would you be doing over there? It's work-life integration. Think about that now. And also try to identify a couple of role models in your profession where you could get some learning and inspiration. Now, these role models could be celebrity level CEOs like Steve Jobs, or it could be the people in your own working circle, maybe the CEO of your company, or maybe someone senior executive you have observed in previous work employment or somewhere else. But try to identify a couple of role models, especially in the professional area. That would help you a lot, because those are really the working models. They are the life models. You could look at them and you could get a lot of inspiration and guidance, even not talking to them, simply by observing them. Because our mind, anything we want to do, our brain needs proof for that. Our brain doesn't want to work unless it believes into it. Now, the best way to believe is seeing. When you see someone really working something, you believe into it. What Steve Jobs has done, everybody has the potential to do it. Now, everybody cannot do it, but at least they have the potential to do it because he has shown it, demonstrated it. But at least that gives you a lot of inspiration and energy to do it, some part of it. So creating a personal brand is differentiating you from the crowd. That's the goal here is. And it's easier, as I explained you in the beginning, that you are basically competing with 95% first. which is easy bet because they are not running faster. If you run a little better than them, you can easily beat them 95%. The real competition when you are among the top 5 and 10%, because all of those people are highly competitive. But it's good situation. It's a good problem. There are less people. You could compete very well. It's a blue ocean compared to red ocean. So you want to move into the blue ocean. So this is the guiding principle for your branding exercise. Three critical things here we are talking about. Number one, think hard. What are your passions? What really drives you? What is your really interest? Now, it may come immediately, it may not come immediately. Spend some time on it, passion. But this is the most important ingredient to define your brand going forward. Once you are clear about your passion, then think what skills and strengths you have related to that passion. Now, you may have skills and strength, you may not have strength and skills, but you could always develop them. My passion at the early part of my career, I started in finance, but really finance and accounting was quite boring for me. I wanted to work with business people. That became my passion. So I started to move into the operational area, and I worked with a lot of manufacturing people. And one of the passion I developed was to improve the manufacturing Six Sigma, manufacturing cost, process efficiency, etc. Right? That became my passion. I did not have the talent for that, but I learned it very quickly. At that time I initiated a project of activity-based costing. I was working for Philips, so it was a good opportunity. And I initiated a project of activity-based costing in the 6 regional plants. To learn of my passion, I read, I think, almost 12 or 13 books on activity-based costing. So you could always learn it. That's not a limitation. As soon as you find, and who could read 12 and 13 books on a topic, on a boring topic, who has the passion for it? So I proved that my passion has enough spark into it, enough light into it, that it made me learn very quickly. And I became a champion in that large company, activity-based costing champion. So third thing in this dimension, 3 dimensions are, what are the opportunities or what are the jobs? So I was in Philips. Philips was a global Fortune 500 company, was my opportunity, right? It's a big, large platform, global platform. Then I found out my passion, activity-based costing or working with manufacturing people. And I developed that skill. And when I combined it, I became a champion. I was known in Philips at that time as activity-based costing champion or manufacturing finance champion. That became my brand actually. Later on, when I put myself outside Philips in the job market, I branded myself as manufacturing CFO or manufacturing controller, and manufacturing companies became interested in me based on my background. Now, every one of them did not want to do activity-based costing, but that was a very valuable experience. And they thought that if someone really could do a project in 6 regional plants in a company like Philips, he must be knowing something about manufacturing, right? So I branded, I took advantage of it. Now, to complete the story, later on in my second part of my career, second half of my career, I changed my passion a little bit to balance a scorecard and strategy. So as you could understand, activity-based costing is more like operational, that fits my profile when I was in a junior position in the controller role. But when I became CFO, I needed something else to really apply my passion in my roles, and that was the balanced scorecard. Now fortunately, Philips was implementing balanced scorecard in those days globally, and I became a champion of it. I read another 8 to 10 books on balanced scorecard and strategy, actually 20 if you include strategy. I read 20 books on that, and I became a champion of it. That became my brand. Later on in my later part of my career, I was looking for companies who are looking for CFOs with a strategy and balanced scorecard experience. Now, every one of them did not want to implement balanced scorecard, but they knew that balanced scorecard experience is very valuable. So they looked at me, and that is how I got my jobs in the later part of my career. So let me bring you back here in this very important diagram. Your brand is basically a component of your passion, your skills and strengths, and the opportunities. Opportunities may be there, may not be there, but skills and strengths you could develop very quickly. But you need to start with your passion. Once you strike into your passion, I think learning would become a lot more easier if you have the right passion. And with learning and passion, I'm sure you would be able to find out opportunities, or opportunities would find you. So this is a very important three-pronged approach or a strategy for balanced scorecard. Okay, so creating a personal brand, a few tips and guidelines. Avoid being a generalist. So one mistake finance professionals or any professional do, they try to show themselves as master of all. Big mistake today's time, big mistake. And I always give this example that specialists earn a lot more than generalists. Think of the medical professionals, general physician, specialist. What do you pay to a general physician? What do you pay to a specialist? So the fear of the people is that if I become a specialist, my scope would be limited, but you would be more valuable. That's true. Your scope would be limited, but within that scope, you become more valuable, and people pay a lot more or regard a lot more value to the specialist. So try to specialize. That's what we are talking about. Branding is about specialization. Become known for your talent. The two examples I gave you, activity-based costing and balanced scorecard. Find out what is your passion, find out your area of expertise, and talk so much, learn so much that you become known for that talent. It could be treasury, it could be IFRS, it could be taxes, whatever your area of interest is in your profession. Spend time and become master of it. And then establish your thought leadership. I'll give you a few more tips how to develop your thought leadership. But once you are sure that this is your area of expertise, then generate new ideas. Don't stop there. I keep adding my thought on the topic of strategy. So you need to start generating thoughts, strategic thoughts, and sharing it. That would establish your thought leadership. And target yourself to be among the top 10% in your profession. As I said, that you may be in the 5 to 10%, or you may not be there, but definitely I could tell you that you're definitely in the upper 50%. So good news is that you have less distance to travel into it, but target yourself to be among the top 10% in your profession. Okay, so positioning or branding statement is one tool we use to brand yourself. So try to create a statement, not very long. It's a small couple of sentences or short paragraph defining you, who you are, your own definition, who you are. And what is your, if you have to tell anybody in 2 minutes, elevator speech, if you have to tell anyone within 2 minutes what you bring to the table, then what would be that statements or keyword or phrases you would be using? And those keywords basically in 2 minutes would tell your story. I could tell my whole career in few sentences in less than 2 minutes. That's my elevator speeches. What is your elevator speech? And also that significantly differentiates you from the crowd. It shows your unique talents and your value. Why you? Why you? When I was competing in CFO roles, my value proposition was very clear. I had worked a lot in manufacturing. That was one. Balanced scorecard strategy was my second differentiation. My third differentiation, incidentally, I worked for many companies with SAP. Now that's also very much in demand. The finance people who have the experience with SAP is in serious demand. So I just position myself along the three attributes I bring to the table. Why you? Manufacturing, balanced scorecard strategy, and SAP, a good combination. I did not have much competition. So one way to communicate your brand in today's world is social media. And we will discuss this social media more in LinkedIn and relationship topic when we go there networking. But social media is really becoming, is still not stable, it's still evolving. People don't know what is it. Practices are changing very fast. So many people are overwhelmed that, look, I want to do something on social media, but where do I start? And until lately, I was suggesting people like you to really go to LinkedIn, Facebook, do a little bit work on the Twitter, YouTube, and certain other websites. Now, lately, I slightly changed my views. Uh, and today, my advice is that primarily focus on LinkedIn. Primarily, 80% invest yourself in LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has become so important for professionals like you and me that anytime you spend on LinkedIn, so if you spend too much time on Facebook, take all that time, cut it short, and invest into LinkedIn, and you will have far more ROI, far better ROI on that. Because I could tell you, your future employers are at LinkedIn, your future bosses are on LinkedIn. If you deal in business, maybe your next business partners are on LinkedIn. Your future colleagues are on LinkedIn. So all of our community are on LinkedIn. Why should we need to go over there? And they are very transparent. The struggle I have between Facebook and LinkedIn, if I'm dealing with someone on Facebook, I don't know whether this is a CEO from the company or a street worker. I cannot tell. In LinkedIn, I could tell right away who they are, what they bring to the table, what is their value proposition. So LinkedIn is far more transparent, far more effective, far more useful, far more rewarding for professionals like us. So don't worry about all the media. Just focus on LinkedIn, and you would be doing good. So on LinkedIn, now LinkedIn is so important that I have decided to do one topic for the next month entirely on LinkedIn. So March, April. In April, we will be doing LinkedIn, how to use LinkedIn for your career success, and we'll be covering a lot. So I'm not covering LinkedIn too much here because we'll be doing next month, but just realize that this is the most important place for you on the social media. So invest yourself in LinkedIn. Uh, if you are looking for jobs or career opportunities, it's all there on LinkedIn. The beauty of the LinkedIn is that without declaring yourself a job seeker, you could still be in the job market. Now, before LinkedIn, you have to prepare a resume or CV and send it to recruiters or employers, right? So you basically, once you send your CV, you declare yourself as a job seeker. In LinkedIn, it's very different. You just put your profile over there, and people or prospective employers are looking at that profile and thinking you are considering you as a candidate, and you have not declared yourself. So uh, especially with your current employer, there is a level of uncomfort. People don't want to tell them or make them notice that you are applying. You don't have to apply. You just your profile in a professional manner, and the prospective employer would come and notice you as a prospective candidate. And by the way, we brought Wasim Karkabi, who is a senior executive recruiter, last month as a guest expert, and he basically confirmed. I knew that, but he confirmed that the best candidates are those who are not actively seeking jobs. So when you are actively seeking job, you are in the second, third category of the quality of candidates. When you are not seeking jobs actively, you are among the best candidates in view of the employers and recruiters. And LinkedIn is the best place to establish your brand or create and develop your thought leadership. LinkedIn. I write a lot of posts and blogs, and that has really helped me establish my thought leadership. I have a network of now close to 20,000 people on LinkedIn, and it's all developed based on my thought leadership. People like my ideas or my blogs, and they like and they comment, and that is how you develop and establish your thought leadership. Uh, you could put whatever you want in your LinkedIn profile. There is only two things which really create credibility and authenticity, and they are the endorsements and recommendations. They come from third parties. You can do endorsement for yourself, and you can do recommendations for yourself. So just ensure there is a good balance, that whatever you are putting in, ask some outside people or the people you have worked before or your professional colleagues to give you some endorsement and recommendation that enhances the credibility on authenticity of all the contents you create on LinkedIn profile. And LinkedIn is also best place for networking. Networking has become a lot more challenging for many people, because if you go to networking meetings or conference, it consumes a lot of time, and people don't have time. So you could do structured networking through LinkedIn. And again, this is the most effective, best way to develop your network. And I'll share you next month when we deal with that subject, LinkedIn. CV, as I said, your CV is your marketing document, right? So please, when you're preparing your document, think how marketers create an advertisement. Many people make the mistake, they dump a lot of contents on their CV. And unfortunately, nobody has time to go through those crowded, noisy contents. So they are completely missed out because people don't try to read it. They only have 5 to 10 seconds. They look at your CV and they want to decide in 5 to 10 seconds whether to go any further or just pass on. So uh, become a marketer. Create a piece of marketing when you create your CV. Uh, Wasim Karkabi, the senior executive recruiter, also confirmed that the biggest mistake candidates are doing not showing their brand on their CV and resume. And his advice is that your first page of CV should actually be all about your brand. I'll show the example because many people would struggle that how do I show my brand on my first page of CV? I'll show you an example, but that is how the branding is important. Because he said we are looking for brands. There are a lot of commodity candidates in the market, but we are looking for leaders with a brand, and there are not many leaders. Of course, your career overview, and put your achievements, not your roles and responsibilities. Your future employers are interested, what did you accomplish in your previous jobs? Not your role, what was your role or responsibility? And your achievement could be a lot more than your responsibilities and roles. Focus on your achievement. And keep in mind that the purpose of the CV is to get the interview, not the job. So don't dump everything on your CV. Biggest mistake, people try to show everything on the CV so that they are not missed out. Well, it's not the final step. You just need to create an interest with the reader to call you for an interview. So give only interesting information and hold some information for your interview discussions. Okay. So example of the positioning statement, your branding and positioning statement, what it should be. So I have 3 examples. These are from the CVs and resumes, because for the branding and positioning statement for professionals like you, it should be the top part of your CV or resume. So the example you're looking, it's a very concise, summarized statement. A highly motivated, experienced professional with the skills in marketing, e-commerce, relationship building, promotion, and management. It covers a lot, and it's put in such a manner that whoever looks at this CV the first time, it is captured in the first few seconds because they don't have more than few seconds. So put it in such a manner that's captured right there next to your name. Another example, notice the keywords here: management, coalition building, leadership, organizational strategic planning. These are the branding, these are the expertise of this person. Another example, marketing executive, strategy, high-tech management, strategic planning, leadership. It's a little more, but notice here that it's readable. It's not readable, it's noticeable, because nobody reads your CV or resume. People scan it, people look at your CV and resume. If they could capture something when they are looking at, that's fine. If you have a lot of running text people need to read, there is very little chances that people will read from line to line, word to word. So that is how you position your branding or positioning statement on your CV. Now, this is an example from my own CV actually. Many of you might have already seen it because I shared my CV with a lot of you. So my positioning or my branding statement was very simple. Global strategic CFO from world-class Fortune 500 and top private equity-owned firms with 20 plus years experience in Asia Pacific, North America, Europe, and Middle East. This is my short branding statement, and it tells my value proposition. What I bring to every word is very powerful here. Every word is very carefully selected. It's a short statement, and it's mentioned actually in the same order, like a headline or subheadline. Actually, let me show you my actual CV so I could explain it a little better. Give me a second. Okay, I think you can see my actual CV on your screen now. So after my personal information, my name and my phone number, etc., it immediately starts with my branding statement, global strategic CFO. See, in bold words, bold fonts actually. From top Fortune 500 and private equity companies with experience in USA, Europe, Asia Pacific, and Middle East, right? That's my short branding statement. Nobody would miss it. Anybody who look at my CV, glance through it, they cannot miss these three lines. It's put in such a manner. Just notice the formatting and the contrast and the shades and the size of the words as has been displayed here, right? Next to it is my longer branding statement. So you could create two versions. One is the short version, one sentence or two sentences, and then a longer version, few sentences, not more than 3, 4. My longer branding version is look at 6 bullets before it, after this brief statement. Manage complex global operations across US, Asia, Europe, and Middle East, right? First. Champion Six Sigma, lean manufacturing, and balanced. Now notice here the branding coming up. For each phrase or each sentence, I have ensured that there is a branding element coming up. So Champion Six Sigma, lean manufacturing, balanced squad initiative. That showed my strategic initiatives. As a matter of fact, at one point of time in my career, Wells Fargo, which is the fourth largest bank in the world, hired me from manufacturing to banking for my Six Sigma background and experience, because they were looking for Six Sigma expertise to be used in their mortgage processing centers. Now, I did not like it, so I left that job in 6 months, but that is how the branding works, even to change the industries. Significant B2B, B2C manufacturing experience in industrial. Now, there is a lot. I worked in several industries, several business models. How do I tell the world that I know so much? I could list 10, 12 items, or I could say in one line, significant B2B, B2C manufacturing experience in industrial and consumer goods. Covers a lot. Strategy expert, aligned performance measures with corporate strategy. People understand that. Additional strengths or qualities: conducted corporate trainings, corporate leadership trainings for senior members of management. And finally, led large global teams across continents, culturally sensitive. Now, notice every word is communicating a message here. Every word is bringing my brand together. Brand is not about one thing only. It's a composition of all of my background, experience, attributes, talents, and strengths. So in a short statements or in a few statements, I have explained my brand. It's on the top of my CV or resume. So I said that nobody would miss the top headline global strategic CFO and from top Fortune 500 private equity companies with experience in USA, Europe, Asia Pacific, and Middle East. If they go through this 3 lines on the headline, they would like to go through from the to the next 6 bullets. 80% people would like to go through the 6 bullets as well. That is how you engage them. That is how you start conversation with your audience. Let me get back to the slides. So I hope that examples really help you how you could apply that branding concept to your career documents or marketing documents. Okay, the other than CV and LinkedIn, you have a lot of other channels to communicate your brand. And among those channels, we call it communication platform. It's internal and external. So in internal, which is your workplace, as I said, that even if you are happily satisfied with your current employer, your current employer is doing very well, you don't expect any job change, fine. You still need to do some work to continuously communicate your brand internally. And that would be solving problems. Now, one of the dilemma people have, that people say, I'm doing a very good job and my employer does not notice me, or they pass me all the time for interview and say, what are your achievements? I close the books in time every month. Okay. I know a lot about IFRS. I do all the reporting in time. Well, these are the routine works. You are expected to do it. These are not your achievements. Your achievements are always over and above and beyond the expectation of your customers or your employers. So when you solve problems, people don't remember how many times you close the books in time. People don't know how many times you have the clean audits because you are supposed to do it. But people know when you solve a problem. People know when you take new initiatives, when you start a new project like activity-based costing. People know when you bring new ideas. So create an approach of look around at your work and find out what are the problems you could contribute, not necessarily that you're entirely on your own, but what are the problems you can help and take initiatives. Everything would not come to you through the proper channel. Many times in the leadership role, you have to take initiatives, look at the start, develop a problem solving attitude and take initiatives. As I said, uh, even simply contributing an idea is a good initiative. And when you go to the meetings, make your presence felt. Now, many people go to the meetings and sitting there and working on their laptops or doing something else. You're wasting your time. Don't go there. If you don't want to contribute to any meetings, don't go there. Only decide to go if you want to contribute something. The rule is you must make your presence felt in a meeting. If you cannot, then don't go there. You're damaging your brand. And then conduct training or information session. I mean, there are so many opportunities. If you feel overwhelmed doing a full day training or some formal training, then when you get to the closing time, closing of accounting books, just invite people from other department and conduct an information session. We need a lot of interaction with non-finance department. Just bring them together and conduct a 1 hour session, information sharing what are the requirements from an audit point of view they could contribute. That is how you show your leadership. Cross-functional team. Are you spending a lot of time within finance and accounting or also outside? The leaders don't stay. I mean, I know that you have to do a lot of work in finance and accounting, but if you're confined in the four boundaries of finance and accounting, you're an accountant. To become a leader, you need to get out and work with cross-functional teams, especially. Volunteer yourself and try to work with cross-functional teams. Find out opportunities where you could, other people in the organization, maybe it's your staff or someone else in other department, you could help them by mentoring and coaching. This is the best practice I have learned and observed, which could make you a leader. Coaching and mentoring, if you could do that. And for yourself, learning is lifelong. Seek mentors. Who are the people around who could help you? Request them. Even if they give you half an hour of their time, you would learn something from them. That these things make your brand known in the organization. So just notice here that these are all non-routine things. Now, many of you would say, I don't have time. I'm so much busy in my daily work. Well, you would remain busy that work if you continue to do that. And in some other sessions, I teach you how to delegate, how to distribute work, but you need to find time. You need to set your priorities. These are the things which will take your career upward, not the routine work. Make it a point. Externally, so it's not about internal. Your brand communication is externally also, outside work. What do you do? First of all, ensure that you join a professional network. Now that's easier. For most of us who are qualified accountants, just join the association or the accounting body. They do regular programs. Join them, become part of it, actively participate, and that would communicate your brand. Many of you already do it, but those who don't, they should do it. Or join a mastermind group. The mastermind group is a smaller group of the like-minded people who are very ambitious and they want to support each other. Now, I have a mastermind group I'm running here in another program. It's a leadership group. There are 8 CFOs and 4 or 5 other senior executives. They are working together for almost 6 months now, 8 months actually. And it's outside work. So they bring their problems and issues from the work to their personal life or professional life, and they discuss, and that is how they benefit and develop their leadership skills. So you could create yourself, I mean, just find out 3, 4, 5 people like-minded and just meet them periodically, once in a month or once in a week, whatever is convenient, and that would be your mastermind group. Industry forums, very important. Many people completely neglect the industry. Now, if you are in hospitality for 10-15 years, probably there is high probability that your next job would also be in hospitality, right? How do you get that job? How do you get noticed by other prospective employers? Once you network in industry forums. People don't do that. Please, this is a huge opportunity. Whatever industry you are working, find out industry forums. You're not only an accountant, you're a business leader, and deal with those people. And there are more opportunities in the industry network, whatever industry you work for. Speak if you can, or start speaking. Join if there's something new, start with a Toastmaster club. There are clubs every city, and develop that skill. I call speaking or public speaking as a weapon of mass influence. Weapon of mass influence, because if you do a good presentation of 2 hours, you influence the group to a great extent. Otherwise, it will take you weeks and months and years to create an impact. But simply by doing a presentation or public speaking, you could create a mass influence. And there is a lot of shortage, by the way. Good speakers are even not 1%. I have done 11 CFO conferences in Dubai. I could tell you, always had a hard time find out the good speakers. And write articles. Start writing. It's not to make you a professional author, but as a professional, as a business executive, you should have some writing skills. And you could start with blogs or write in professional industry journals. So these are the few activities you should do to communicate your brand outside the work. Now, your brand is a composition of several components, as I said earlier. And this diagram explains that it's your there are inner areas and outer areas. In inner areas is your knowledge, is your character strengths, is your life experiences, and outer is your influence and your brand differentiation. So it's not one thing which really would create an impact of the brand. There is a lot of other things from inside and outside of your personality development which creates to a good brand. Look at these, some of the examples of iconic branded CEOs. Now, they were all CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, but every one of them has a little different brand. I don't know any of them personally, but their public image is quite different. I mean, if you look at Steve Jobs, a brand of like innovation comes up. Richard Branson is more like a fun guy. Jack Welch is more very demanding and very workaholic type of image comes up. So see yourself that what type of image you want to communicate about yourself. Of course, we're not talking about becoming a celebrity CEOs, but within your own circles, what type of brand you would create yourself. Thought leadership is an important component of branding, and it's a little advanced level, but you need to start considering it now. How do you create your thought leadership? So here is the recipe to develop your thought leadership if you have not done so. Choose one or two subjects you are passionate about. So when you are doing a passion exercise, see that what are the things which really drives you passion. As I shared, my passions were activity-based costing, balance scorecard. See yourself, what are your passion? Now we are talking about the things which are related to your profession. If your passion is cricket, okay, that's good for you as a personal hobby, but it may not directly help you in your professional development or professional growth and progress. So find out your passion related to your work, one or two subjects. Once you are clear, then study the subject deeply. I would say read several articles, read a couple of books on that, go a little deeper into that subject, deeper than an average person. And once you go deeper, you would notice that some strategic thinking has started to happen. When you go deeper, of course, if you are on the surface, deep thinking may not happen. But once you read a couple of books on a topic, you may develop some thoughts yourself. And those thoughts could be some fresh ideas, some fresh viewpoint, even controversial. If it is controversial, it's fine, because new ideas are always controversial. So for those new ideas or fresh ideas, develop some arguments. Why do you think so? and create a rational for your viewpoint. And if you're satisfied, then passionately start sharing that views at different platforms. Don't worry, people are agreeing or not everybody would agree with that, but you have developed a thought process, you have developed a thought leadership which you think is rightly represent your views and ideas, and you could share it with confidence. Let me give you an example. So I'm in the corporate training for 20 years, and now I'm full time in the corporate coaching, training, leadership, things like that. So I'm continuously learning and I'm developing new thoughts into these areas. And if you listen to few of my speeches, which are available on YouTube, I said that our education system is lagging behind, not in Asia or Middle East only, but globally. And I argue that do we really need 4 to 6 years to complete a degree program in today's time? 4 to 6, I think that's too long a period, in my opinion. The contents of learning and a student learn through a typical traditional degree program could be learned easily faster in 2 years, I think, less than 2 years. That's my view. And I feel very passionate about it. I'm feeling so confident. I have a rationale for it. I mean, look, the world is moving so fast. Many students in many disciplines, what they learn in the first and second year become obsolete by the time they are reaching to third and fourth year. Could we really afford to have degrees in 4 and 6 years? That's my view. I know there are a lot of people who disagree with that. Fine with me. It's my thought leadership. And I'm creating models, learning models, practically to demonstrate that. I mean, I'm doing this online coaching now. Until 2 years ago, I was not a big fan of online coaching or online education. Today, I'm a big fan of it. I'm actually significantly reducing my classroom training because I could do it much more effectively. And I think from a learning at your end, you are having a better experience. This is leadership, right? Leadership does not take place in large, learning of leadership does not take place in large doses. So when you go to a leadership program, 3-day workshop, 5-day workshop, okay, you go there, you get a lot of information, knowledge, you have some good time, you get good content, you get excited. You come excited with a lot of information, files and manuals, and you put them on the shelf. And you get back to your work, and in few weeks, or maybe a couple of months, you're back to where you started, right? It's not effective. Leadership works in small doses, leadership learning. That's what we are doing. I usually do my online sessions for 90 minutes because 90 minutes is the time span you could keep your attention focused. 90 minutes. Maximum I go 2 hours. In my mastermind program, I go 2 hours, not more than that. Because if I stretch it longer, you will lose the span of attention. But the beauty is that what you are learning here in this 90 minutes, you are going to think about it. You are going to apply in your life. And next week, when you come back for the group Q&A session, you are much more prepared for the new knowledge, for the new question, for the new debates. Your learning is far more better than if you could spend even a 2-day workshop learning these things. It's a new learning model. It fits with the technology. It fits with the lifestyle of the people. People don't have time to go to 3-day or 4-day or 5-day workshops, but you could do it easily from your work or from your home, joining an online session for 90 minutes or 2 hours. So this is working very well. I'm feeling more passionate about it, right? I'm just want to share this example that look back in your area. What are the areas? It's all about change and innovation nowadays. And that is what will be noticed by the world if you do few things like that. Even if you talk about it, people will notice you. So practical tips for thought leadership. Actively share your views. Now, there is a lot of wisdom about listening skills that you really need to listen more and speak less. Well, that's probably more applicable for the people who have already reached to a high level of leadership, who have already become celebrity level. They don't need to speak, they need to listen. But look, people like you and me who are developing leadership skills, you need to speak. If you don't speak, how people will know about your talent, how people will know about the quality of your thoughts. And many people struggle. Many people, that's what I said, many people go to the meetings, don't speak. Well, don't go there. Now, I know you need a little bit confidence, you need a little bit courage, but think of this. The biggest fear of speaking is that maybe I would say something wrong. I would say something dumb. People will think I'm stupid. Well, let me tell you, it will happen some of the time, but it will not happen all the time. If you speak 10 times, 10 times you're not going to talk dumb. Maybe one or two, maybe three max. But you are going to remain quiet because three times you speak dumb and seven good ideas you want to share and the world want to notice. You don't want to contribute that. Take the courage and start speaking. So actively share your views wherever you find opportunities. Sharing thought leadership, there are other ways. You could send emails to your network. Just if you find some good information, good tips, just send those emails. Write yourself, or even if you receive an email, you find it useful, forward it. If it is applicable to those people, they will appreciate it, and they will give credit to you for the contents for sending that email. Make a habit of really posting updates, comments, social media. This is the best place for you to start sharing your brand, communicating your brand. Very simple. If you don't feel that you want to write something, just like comments, make small responses to the comments, and that is how you start involving in the conversation. As you move, now this is in the progressive manner, so as you develop your confidence, make presentation on the topic of your passion, conduct trainings, speak at the events, and start writing blogs, or maybe write a ebook. Not difficult, ebook is very short. Or maybe you reach to a level of really expertise that you want to write a book. So see where you are. If you are in the beginning, fine, you need to start somewhere. Maybe in the middle, maybe in the beginning, but start the journey, and that would develop your thought leadership. Okay, building your network, I will quickly pass through it. So we'll talk more about networks in the next month in the LinkedIn, social media, professional networks, industry forums, community network. I'll pass this one as well. So if you want to go a little deep in this subject of personal branding, then this book is recommended for you. Stand Out. Now, it's not a mandatory reading for you, so don't worry about if you have difficulty finding this book. Then don't worry, it's not essential. But if you really want to enhance as an additional reading, this one I suggest you. By the way, I couldn't find good books, really practical good. There are so many books on personal branding, but honestly, I couldn't find good practical books. That's why I'm not recommending many. This is the closest I could find, which could help you in your building up the brand and spreading your thought leadership. What I would like to do you after this session is to do a little assignment. And first of all, those of you who are listening live and those of you who would listen to the recording, please ensure that you attend this session as live as possible, because if you delay it, there is a high probability that you would not be able to find time listen it. So between now and next week, when we have this Q&A group session, I would like you to do this little exercise of carrying out the process of discovering and reinventing your brand. So the steps and the tips I have shared with you, try to apply that. Do a SWOT analysis, run a Google search for yourself, do a few other things, and you will start to get close to it. So it would not be a one-time process. You have to do a few times to get it better. Once you reach to some level of awareness, then create a personal branding or positioning statement for yourself. If you have not created one. Now that statement should not be more than 50-60 words. As I said, like the few examples I showed you or the one I showed for myself, you could create two versions, a small version and long version. Short version could be just one sentence, two sentences. Long version could be few sentences, but try to keep it as short as possible, not more than 70 words. Otherwise it would lose its attractiveness to the readers. I have given you two links here. These are the links which I will give you few examples of the personal branding statement. So check those links. In addition to that, I have also given you few examples here in these slides after this assignment slide. So you will get a copy of my PDF these are good examples of branding statement. Some are short, some are long, some are from different professions. But if you go through them, you will develop a good understanding what a personal branding statement should read like or look like. Right? I will leave it for you to additional positioning statement. I will leave it for you to go on your own. So, wow, we have consumed almost all the time. So let me take a quick look at the questions if there is any question I need to address, Sabah. Okay, there are a couple of questions, so let me see if I could answer that right now. How to manage a brand when you have switched too many jobs with varying roles? The job are in totally different. Yeah, so you need to settle down. I guess that you are somewhere close to your mid-career, right? So it's okay to really roll around a little bit at the beginning or initial part of your career, but you should rapidly consolidate your position. That after doing those few of jobs, what is your opportunity? As I said, they do that exercise. Number one, what is your passion? What really makes you enjoy your job? What are your strengths and skills? And what are the opportunities? And based on these three attributes, decide which area you want to move on, and then strengthen your brand. Just to elaborate on that, I mentioned that at one point of my career, I moved to banking industry. I spent, I think, 15 years in manufacturing in Philips. And then I thought, moving to USA, the banking is very lucrative. Why not just go into the banking? And I successfully moved into banking, right? Through Wells Fargo, through my Six Sigma background. I didn't like it. Within 6 months, I made the decision, this is not for me. I went back, I changed my brand again, right? So I again elaborated my manufacturing part and repositioned myself in the market. I got another job, another good job. Within 6 months, I left Wells Fargo and got back to the manufacturing. So you need to make a conscious decision what industry or the areas you want to really capitalize upon. Okay, that was Jawad Habib. Uh, how to deal with inner conflict when you can't seem to decide if you are content or complacent. Now, this question is related to emotional intelligence. So I would really defer it. I don't want to really distract from the subject of personal branding. There are professional resume building and LinkedIn makeover services. Are they worth it? Look, many of you have already utilized resume writing services or building services. I think I have given you enough tools and tips to develop on your own, because you need to create an emotional touch. This is your document, this is your representation, this is your identity, right? Pick and choose the words which best describe you. I mean, if you ask me that can I hire someone to write my branding statement, I would say no, absolutely not, because this is your statement. This represents you. Who could decide or craft better than yourself your own branding statement? Same goes for CV. So yeah, little bit help about guidelines and expertise is fine, or maybe you hire them to write the draft and then finalize on your own. I did the same thing at one point of time. I used an external service, but I completely changed that. There were some good ideas, by the way. It was not completely useless. I got some good ideas, and then I crafted my own CV, which worked very well. The CV I showed you is created by myself, is working very well for the last 10 years. It helped me get land 3 CFO level jobs and numerous interviews. My hit rate was 30% with interviews. So do it yourself and keep doing it. I'm not saying that if you do it, you will do a perfect job, but start yourself and keep doing it, and you will reach to a level where you will feel quite satisfied with it. Okay, one more question. Any blog site book on how to use LinkedIn properly? I will share that next month when we deal with LinkedIn, because I do have few recommendations, but as I mentioned, that the things are getting obsolete very fast. I just want to ensure that those books are still relevant, or there are some better books or not. So let me do my research. I'll give you the right advice. Okay, guys. So looks like we are right on the dot, completing the session. Appreciate your listening. I still see quite a lot number of people are still present. So thank you very much. Hope the session was useful. Uh, do it practically. Last advice. It's all about practice. We are not in the college and universities. You are all practicing professionals. So whatever you have learned, apply it. All the things you have learned today, you can apply from today. Apply it, contemplate it, find out the struggle and challenging areas, set up your questions, send it to Sabah or to me, or on the website, CFO Coaching Club, and we'll address them next week, same time. Okay, guys. Thank you very much, and talk to you next time. Thank you. Bye now.